What's going on, Blindside Blitz Nation? How are you guys doing out there? Welcome to the show. If you haven't done so already, we do encourage you to head over to Grumblings Media, hit that subscribe button for us, hit the like as well. I know it's not the face you're used to seeing. And I know Jimmy's usually on here doing the intro and everything, but Jimmy's got a lot of stuff going on, so he's a little bit busy. I'm taking over the show. That's right, Big Bad Joe, right here. We're coming at you. And we got a very special guest for you guys. A guy who has been there, done that in the NFL realm, has been a former scout, is still involved with the scouting process and more. He has his own podcast. The guy, the myth, the legend, our friend, our good buddy, Rodrik David. Rodrik David, welcome to the show, my friend. And
it's great to be here. Always love being on the intro, man. And if I could get my wife to believe half that'd be fantastic. But always good to be here talking ball.
If we can maybe we can cut up clips of like all the good things we say about you, and you can use it as film to present to her. Like, hey, listen.
Hey, new idea. That is an idea right there. I'll sit her down. We'll do some film session. That's perfect.
Excellent. Rodrik, thank you for joining the show. Like I said, I didn't really dive into it too much, but why, for the audience out there that doesn't know you, and maybe it's the first time on the show, maybe do a little introductory, right step advising that you're with, your podcast, and so forth.
Yeah. Again, long-time football guy, again, from coaching to scouting time with the Tennessee Titans and Atlanta Falcons, pro scouting, was a Midwest area scout, spent time at the Combine, pro days. I've been through all this stuff. Again, now I have my own company, Right Step Advising. I'm doing whatever I can, honestly, to help those in the football world. Do a ton with agents, work with players. I've been getting guys ready for these top 30 visits for local days, doing all the draft prep. I do reports, going through everything. The Scouting the League podcast, definitely encourage you. Again, if you want to know what goes on behind the scenes, again, kind of that what you actually need to know at the Combine, about pro days, about local days, again, about this next couple weeks, really the next 20-some days as we get to night one of the draft, what are teams really doing? I peeled the curtain back. I was in the draft room 6 times. Again, still heavily involved in it. So again, check out the Scouting the League podcast. My website, rsafootball.com. Go check out, again, my full story there. At Right Step ADV on Twitter is where you can find me as well.
Yeah, Rod, and I will attest to this. I've checked out this dude's podcast, and I'll put it this way. You do have to love football, because to appreciate all the detail that's unraveled on that podcast, that's Scouting the League, I encourage you, if you really love football and you think you love it so much so where you're a little bit of a nerd, this is the spot for you. You definitely got to check it out. There's a ton of information that they unravel, even stories that they bring up about situations they've been through and things of that nature. They have GMs on there. They have other scouts. It is just a amazing community of the scouting process and more. You got to check it out. Make sure you head over there, hit the subscribe button while you're there. Thumbs up as well. But Rodrik, we're here for more than talking about podcasts, that is.
Yeah.
We're here. We're going to be talking about some of the prospects coming out in this 2026 NFL draft. And this is the time of year, Rod, that it's, for me anyways, it's yes, I'm a fan, and I like to consider myself an amateur scout, but I got to say, it's an exciting time of year because it's that part of the season where, in the off season, where every single team can get better. We obviously have combed through free agency at this point. Now it seems like the gears are starting to shift to more just concentrating on the draft, teams getting their boards ready, all that good stuff. But there's a ton, and I mean a ton, of conversations being had from other podcasts, from major networks. Who's good? Who's bad? Who's the upcoming? We're going to touch on that a little bit today. And I know it's kind of like a grain of salt, if you will, with the prospects that we're going to talk about. But I got to say, I'm glad to be talking them with you. I had Rod before to come on the show to give a few guys, right? A few NFL prospects that should be getting more attention, that aren't really getting that attention. What's the deal? And I understand people, prospects fall through the cracks in this process and whatnot. But Rodrik, can you give us a few of your guys that have kind of fallen through the cracks, and people need to start paying more attention to them as we get closer.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm going to start with an offensive lineman. Again, we're hearing in this draft, there's no really top end talent. The guy that's just got all the traits, that has all the answers. But
Yeah.
Caleb Tiernan, left offensive tackle out of
Okay.
Northwestern. To me, I watch him. It's just clean football. Like, this guy is going to step in there. He's going to play. I could see some teams drafting him as a right. I think he's going to be a good left. He's never going to be that guy that's like, oh, look at this guy, top 5. He's going to be top 10. He's just going to play for a long time, really clean with this technique. He's good, a good athlete. He's really got good traits across the board. He's got very good size, you could argue. But again, it's just good, clean, consistent football. I think this guy is going to be one of those guys that, again, you probably get. Could he get into the late first round? Somebody's going to get a starter when they draft a Caleb Tiernan offensive tackle. If you find some guys in the trenches that are going to be starters for you early in their career, again, I think Caleb is one of those guys. And again, on the other side, again, a guy that I have been doing work on, it seems like for a year and a half now, underclassman Christian Miller out of Georgia. Again, really talented defensive tackle that has a lot of good things. The way Georgia used him, again, a little bit rotational. They have a bunch of dudes, so they got to keep people happy, get guys on the field. But this is a guy that did some two-gapping stuff, did some read stuff, played more on the nose. I think this guy could be a 3-tech. I think he can get upfield. He's got some explosive qualities. He's got some short area bursts of movement. He's got some natural rush to him. I think he's going to be a really fun player. So I have to start with in the trenches, right? Because we're seeing that's where the league's going.
Right. So going to Tiernan, go back to Tiernan for me. You mentioned that he might get selected as a right tackle, but his rightful spot is left, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
He's obviously scheme versatile, so like he can go on either side to play tackle for you. Do you think that he could have a home at just right tackle as a career?
He could. Again, that was, again, you think about a guy, and it's been multiple guys in the league. It's the conversations happening up in Detroit right now. All right, no Taylor Decker. What do we do with Penei Sewell? Again, that was forever the belief for Lane Johnson, one of the rare athletes at right tackle in Philly. Well, again, why do you move a future Hall of Famer from his natural spot? Hey, let's just go find a Jason Peters. Hey, Jordan Mailata really worked out well. Again, with tackles, again, if it's about getting the best player on your board, and let's bring him in. Again, if you're a team that's got an established left tackle and you need a right, again, that's part of the work the scouts have done. Hey, let's line him up on the right side. Let's think about it mentally, because again, a lot of people on the outside, it's like, oh yeah, this is, just switch your feet. And no, it's about switching everything, switching your feet, switching your hips, where your strength is at, the way your hands are, the way you're going to see vision, the way protections typically happen when, again, 90% of the quarterbacks in the NFL are right-handed. So, again, everything changes. It's not like, oh, yeah, just go line up over there and play on the other side. So, again, I think he could be. Again, there's always the perception that, hey, player at Northwestern, he's going to be smart, he's going to be ready to go wherever. And that's probably true for Tiernan. I've heard really good things about him. Great, outstanding mind. Again, this is the type of kid, the type of person that, he's going to make that transition work, because he's going to work really hard as a technician. Again, he's going to put in the time. He's going to put in the effort. His technique is so clean, I think it should translate. Now, again, if there's a team that has that hole at left tackle, if a team like Houston, who's still trying to figure out that O-line situation, likes him at left, all right, let's draft the left and let's figure out the right side. Again, let's get our money, our high-end draft pick, again, over on that left side. So again, he can be either. He will certainly be drafted as an offensive tackle. Again, we'll see what that situation, wherever he ends up, dictates.
Nice. And ballpark figure, you said like could make the first round?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in that conversation end of the first round. Again, you think about these, again, good teams hitting on premium positions on these guys that just happen to fall a little bit. Again, maybe, again, not the top end, not the sexy athlete, just a good football player. Again, if you're sitting in their late 20s, or I think this player is off before pick 40. I think that's kind of where I view him at.
Nice. That's a player that, again, this is why we do these things, is because you bring up a player like that forces me like, oh, this guy sounds legit. I'm going to go check him out now. So that's part of the process, right? You know, Rodrik, I mean, the guys like we talked off the show, we were talking about checking off the boxes. So like the combine and how, you know, it's kind of just a reaffirmation of information that you guys have collected over the course of the year. You know what I mean? Or actually years, because you guys are all these scouts that are in the NFL, they're keeping track of these guys since they enter college and even before that, like maybe even senior years of high school. So a lot of information, a lot of boxes to check for sure. And you definitely have done that with Tiernan. Christian Miller, I've heard of his name a lot. I've actually seen a little bit of his film. And this is a guy where everybody seems to be kind of like their eyes glued to like the bigger guys, right? You got the mammoth Caleb Banks and you got Caden McDonald, you know, these mammoth D tackles that could do some damage at the next level, but not hearing a whole lot until recently about Christian Miller. Miller's name seems to be popping off, you know, as we get closer to the draft. And for all the reasons that you just laid out, you know, a guy who's quick off the ball, he's got good timing, great balance, a guy who's, I actually think he's stronger than he looks. I mean, he's a big dude, but he definitely can handle double teams. And that brings me to my other point is a lot of these teams now are starting to transfer over to like not necessarily a traditional 3-4 defense, but they're starting to kind of play with the idea of becoming these hybrid 3-4 defenses, multiple looks. And guys like Christian Miller, I feel like has a unique niche that he can fit maybe both, where he could play not your traditional nose tackle, but he could be your nose and take on a double team for you, but then also come back the very next snap and now he's playing 3 technique.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you hit it on the everybody wants to be versatile up front. Again, you want to keep these guys on the field, and that's where a difference for like Cade McDonald, beast run stopper. He's really not giving you anything in the pass rush. He is a marginal level pass rusher who you're going to hope to get a little bit of push in the middle of the pocket. He's not going to be able to move off a double team. He can read, he can two gap. You know, Christian has shown the ability to do those things. But then you put on snaps on, you know, third, medium, third, long, where he gets off the ball, and it's like, okay, we can hold up here at a good level, maybe not at a Caden McDonald level, but we get into, again, a sub defense, a nickel defense, a passing situation. We get an empty backfield, and again, we can kind of stagger that stance, get off the ball a little bit. It's like, I want Christian Miller in that situation over a lot of these other interior defensive linemen. That's where, again, he plays a little bit out of control when he's getting up the field and using the explosiveness. Looks still like he's trying to figure out the body a little bit for his big and long. Again, he's just a big structured guy. Again, he's just one of those ones where if you miss, you want to miss big, you want to miss athletic. He's still going to cause some problems, even if again it takes a minute, and he's going to have some MAs. He's going to get out of position. You hope that mental part of the game comes along with it to be a little bit more sound in what he does. But man, there's just a lot of reasons to like this player, and the upside is certainly there.
Yeah, and there's so many players in this draft, just like every draft, right? Like it's obviously changes a little bit between positions. Like, is there more wide receivers? There's more the ends, all that. But this draft, just like any other draft, is super exciting and fun to kind of just dive into. That brings us to our next deal here. Rodrik, there's some prospects that are heating up now. And we talk about some of the dark horse guys or guys that are kind of starting to creep up. But now it seems like there's some guys that maybe initially, early on in the process, wasn't really being spoken to, maybe obviously behind, you know, in inner league conversations, these guys have been talked about. But now that it's coming to the public, guys are like, man, look at this guy. Look at what he did at the combine. That's always like the go-to, right? The speed, the measurables, all that. And now some guys are starting to get talked about a lot more and maybe even being pushed up the board, so to speak, into the first round conversation and all that. The guy that I think of for me is like a Daniel Thieneman from Oregon, the safety, who I'm going to be honest, I've heard of him. I've probably watched him on a couple of games and not even realized it was him, but has shown flashes to the point where now he comes back from an injury. He looks really good. The boxes get checked, like you mentioned. Who are some of the guys? Is that one of your guys, or do you have a different guy in mind?
Yeah. Dylan's a good player. I scouted older brothers. Again, they've all gone through Purdue. They're a good football family. And again, that's always one of the things you again, high character football dude. This is a football junkie, football guy, fits that Dan Lanning defense. Again, he's one of those guys. I'd imagine some teams and some scouts are going back to the tape because he actually
Yeah.
tested, I thought, a little bit better than what he put on tape consistently.
Okay.
And he good player on tape, really consistent player on tape. The numbers would have said I liked the athlete a little bit more, which is always, again, at the end of the day, scouts want you to, at minimum, do at the combine what you did on film. Again, if you do that, again, not many new questions about you. When all of a sudden some numbers pop at the combine, that it's like, oh wow, he's a little faster than I thought, maybe a little more explosive from a number standpoint than he showed on film. For me, that was Dylan Thieneman. Again, that's not to knock his film. It's good level film. Is it top 25 film? For me, that's where I'm struggling with him. Again, I'm probably a little bit lower. Again, good player. I think he is a little bit more scheme limited. For me, he's not a guy wanting man coverage a lot. I like him in zone. I like him in a 2-high system. I like him playing, down to maybe a strong side, rolling into the box a little bit. But again, I don't want him matching up against, again, lining up across from teammate Kenyon Sadiq next year. I don't want him trying to match up against Kyle Pitts or, again, Isaiah Likely, who just signed the contract in New York. Like, these are guys that, like, from an offensive standpoint, I'm going to think I like that matchup if we can get him in one-on-one.
Okay.
If I'm drafting a safety in the first round, putting that kind of investment in that player, either I'm going to have him real scheme specific, again, too high, Antoine Winfield, let's get him back there, let's let him use his strengths, or we're going to have to maybe think about a different player in this spot. Again, I like Dylan. For me, he's probably more of a solid starter, which, again, in a lot of grade scales becomes more like a third-round grade. Does he get pushed into second a little bit? Again, sounds like he's going to be a first rounder at this point. Of course, we'll find out on draft night. But again, he's certainly been a guy that helped himself out in a really strong safety group overall.
Yeah, and we deal with this every single year where there's this ascension. They just skyrocket up some of these prospects, and it's more for the public. It's more for the major media to hype things up and all that. And I get that. And behind the scenes, though, there's guys like yourself. There's guys that are in the league right now, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, go ahead, hype them up. That's fine. We're just gonna do our due process, and we're gonna rank them accordingly." But there's other guys like that too. Like another guy, I have a hard time with this player from Missouri, the pass rusher Zion Young. He gives me vibes of other powerful edge rushers that have come into this league, and that's all they ever become is just a power guy. They can't really disengage that often off the tackles. It just seems like they love to just go bull rush, bull rush, bull rush. Don't really make a great impact. And in the end, it's kind of like, well, you took the guy in the first round. It's kind of seen as a bust in 2-3 years down the road. Tell me a little bit about Zion Young and how you view him. It is the hype that is starting to gain on him. Is it real, or is there some concerns that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, no, again, I think you hit on the what he can do. Again, he's a height, weight, speed guy. Again, he's got the length. He's got, again, you look at him, it's like, yeah, that's what an edge rusher should look like in the NFL. It's going to continue to develop and to continue to grow. Now, again, some of that length results in he's a long mover. He's not a real quick twitch guy. He's going to get loaded up a little bit. Can he bend? Yeah, he's which again,
Okay.
if I am a team that's drafting this player, what's the plan? And 32 teams are talking about what's the plan for this guy. Oh, year one, he's going to be our rotational third. He's going to work into a second. Okay, if he's your second best rusher on your NFL team, are you happy in 3 years? Again, if he takes the steps, and that's where the character piece comes in that scouts do the real
Right.
work on at school visits and talking to sources, like, is the character, is the person, is the makeup of this player going to allow him to get to the spot where he is all that his traits could allow him to be? And that is the question. That's really the answer that teams have to have,
Mhm.
where you miss or you make these guys. When the character's right, the makeup's right, we have the right pieces, we're going to get him to that spot. You think about guys like Alex Highsmith, or
Mhm.
different guys that have developed as kind of under the radar developmental guys, who all of a sudden second best, would be a best pass rusher on some teams, you're the second best pass rusher, but it took a little bit of time. It didn't
Yeah.
happen day one, didn't happen year two. You grew into a role. That's got to be Zion Young. Certainly has the traits to do it. Teams have the answer on the inside, whether he has the makeup to do it.
Yeah, it's for me anyway, in my opinion, I saw shades of Tyree Wilson in him, because he's just a really big, strong, long prospect that loves the bull rush. He can do bull rushing with the best of them, that's for sure. But you need to do a little bit more than just have, one rep on you,
Yep,
one
yep,
one
certainly.
skill set. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that's what makes this draft interesting, because there's prospects like this. There's guys that are dark horses, like we covered a couple of them. There's also guys that are kind of ascending right now, at least in the public's eye. And then there's guys with a lot of question marks. And I got about 3 athletes that are going to be drafted in this upcoming 26 draft that I have some question marks, and that's why I'm going to relay them to my boy Rod, who's going to drop some knowledge and let me know his professional opinion here. And that's, we're going to do some pros and cons on these guys. So first guys up is KC Concepcion. His name has been all over the place.
Yep.
You're either in the camp where you're absolutely in love with this guy and you think he could be a number 1 wide receiver at the next level, or you're in the other camp where you're like, I just got way too many question marks. He's got an injury he came back from. He's inconsistent with his hands sometimes. But dynamite athlete. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw some cold water on this one. This is a guy I started doing work on this guy last summer. Again, the transfer from, I believe it was North Carolina State, going to A&M, big expectations. Again, for me, obviously the hands. We'll talk about the hands, but for me, it started. All right, what's the athlete? Again, that's going to be the baseline. I thought he was a good athlete. For
Mhm.
me, there wasn't a special trait that I saw on film, really even a very good trait. I thought he had good speed. Again, good ability to snap down, good ability to get out of breaks. I thought there was a lot of good, which again, that's good. You like that, but again, you
Right.
pair it with inconsistent hands now. So you've got, we'll say, just a good athlete with
Mhm.
really inconsistent hands, wants to be a body catcher, and that was one of the things. If
Mm.
you're going to be a hands catcher and have drops, that's one thing. If you're going to be a body catcher and have drops, I mean, that's even limiting yourself some more. So again, that's a concern for me. Wants to body up. He had times to extend, play with his hands, had those drops. Again, I didn't see any special traits. And this, again, the
Okay.
numbers combine, going through the process. Again, the athlete, I don't see it on film. Good, solid player. To me, he's ends up being a 3 wide receiver, maybe bordering on that 4, because again, you're going to have to limit, to me, his routes a little bit. I think he's
Okay.
going to be a little bit of a limited route runner. He's going to play some X. He's going to play some Z, maybe a backup in both those spots. He is a borderline starter, a number 3 starter in the NFL. Again, that's a 3rd round grade for me, which is kind of where he's at for me. Again, there's some stuff to like. Certainly a good athlete across the board, but the hands
Got
really concern me.
Yeah, and for KC, like, coming into at least the combine for the public anyways, a lot of people were excited to see just how fast he was. If he can run this, then he's going to be an all-star. Everyone was like reacting to the fact of how fast and quick he could be. But then, this is the other thing, is a guy like Casey Concepcion, who originally, by some of the people that cover, the draft and in the NFL, .com eras and all that, talking very highly about this guy, and saying that he could be a first rounder and all that. But then now we're seeing that he's taking a tick down a little bit. And for the same, inconsistencies that you mentioned, Rod, that like now they're saying, okay, no, maybe he's not first round. Maybe he's lower than that. But I still feel like there's going to be like a catch-up period from now to the draft night where more information comes out, like yourself, like, you've evaluated him and not really high on him. Could be a third round, could be a fourth round pick, because of his inconsistencies. So very intriguing prospect. And who knows, maybe a coaching staff can develop him the right way. Like you said, even scheme wise, maybe there's a certain team that absolutely loves his traits, going to bring him in. They say, hey, you know what? We could get this guy in the middle round. So maybe we don't have to pick him that early and work with him. So intriguing prospect, has limitations. But then again, the draft is going to tell us all what the teams think about him in the end.
Absolutely.
Brings me to my next player from Florida, the big man, the mammoth guy that is the talk of the town at the combine in terms of measurables, the biggest human being I've ever seen run basically a 5 flat 40, and it's disgusting. Caleb Banks. This dude's like the Jolly Green Giant, and he could play D tackle, but he's pretty athletic for his size. I mean, I gotta say, measurable wise, you can't teach size, and he's powerful too, but there is a little bit of sloppiness to his game. I'm worried about that part, like run defense. I'm worried, like it seems like he's got this one track mind of, I want to sack the quarterback no matter what. So Caleb Banks also left the combine. He ran his 40, but then it turns out he had a foot issue. I don't know personally the medical that was given, and was it a broken toe? Was it a fractured foot? But that's going to come into play, right, Rod? As we get closer to this draft, what do you think about him?
Yeah. Again, starting with the medical. Again, that's the big question. Not a ton of snaps this year. Again, was hurt. Played some early. Played a little bit
3
late.
games.
Again, you're talking really limited snaps now. Again, you just don't make him this big. Again, one of the rare sized human beings that moves the way he was. And again, standing, if I could stand next, there's only one player that I would, stand next to and be like, all right, this guy.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton would still make him look small. Mekhi Becton was a rare human being that I stood next to at the combine. But again, Caleb is over 6'6", 327, length for days. Again, ran a good number, 504 in the 40. Again, this ends up being, again, one of those, he's either one of the last picks of the first round or one of the first picks of the second round, because again, these guys, there's just too much there. If you're going to miss big. If you're going to miss on traits like this guy. Somebody's going to take this guy for the upside that he can be. Hey, we'll get this foot injury figured out. You're going to play 15 to 20 snaps a game as a rookie. Let's just get you in here, get our hands on you. Again, sloppiness. Again, this guy does not play with much awareness, marginal level awareness. He runs by the ball. But, man, he has snaps where he just puts his hands on guards and tackles and tosses them. Again, if you just find the ball, if you just, again, disruptive, absolutely. There's got to be a really specific role on a team. Again, you get him, again, a team that wants to play 3-4 and just stack him at the line of scrimmage. Again, good luck taming him down in that spot. Again, you get a team that's upfield to just say, hey, go wreck it on the inside. Line it up as 0 and go get the quarterback. Again, you're going to get some production from this guy. Again, the medical is the one question. Again, I go back to character on a kid like this. Again, he's been through a lot. He has not had a lot of snaps. He's now dealing with another foot injury. Is the makeup going to allow him to make it? How bad is the medical? What's the rehab process? What's his mindset through all of it? Again, the character is always a big piece that marries with the medical on a guy when you have an injury like this. But again, this guy is a late first, early second round pick just because there is too much there that is just not easy to find.
Yeah, he's very intriguing, immense power. I mean, when he really wants to get after someone in the backfield, where it be quarterback, running back, he rushes with reckless abandon. I mean, So much so that, like you mentioned, like there's times when I've saw him just absolutely blow up the line of scrimmage, get in the backfield, the ball just gets handed off, and he just whiffs. Like
Yeah.
he reaches out and just couldn't get enough contact to knock him down. And it's happened consistently like that. And it's always with the run game. So I'm just wondering, the guy, like you mentioned, immense talent. I mean, they don't make men this big and this athletic like this. So you do take a chance on the guy. High ceiling, you know, again, I want to believe in a player like this because I think he could be something so special that, you know, he could, maybe we were talking to him at the end of his career about being one of the best D tackles ever to play the game. Or we could be like, man, that guy just wasted his talent. So a lot of question marks with him. Do you envision that a team can tame him, like with coaching and trying to develop him with the right system, or maybe he is a little bit more versatile that could blend into other systems as well? Do you think it's just a coaching thing that you can drill into him to kind of curb that wildness to him at the line of scrimmage?
32 coaches are going to be there. Hey, I can get this. Again, there's not going to be a coach in the NFL that doesn't want to work with this guy. Again, and that's where scouts have to make their money on this kid. Is it true? Does this kid want to be coached? Does this kid want to, again, tame the talent? Does he want to rein it in just a little bit to actually make some plays? And again, that is where I don't have that answer. I didn't go into Florida. Again, scouts are getting their money's worth on this player because, again, it's going to be going all the way back. Probably his high school coaches have been called at this point. Anybody that has ever interacted, ever coached, ever been around this kid. Again, does this kid have what it takes between the ears to be the player that, again, his talent says he could be? Again, that will, again, when this kid starts to slide, along with the medical may be there, but again, you have to imagine, even with some ugly medical, again, we all remember Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame, nightmare medical, unbelievable talent. He still goes early in the second round, I believe. There's guys like that. You take a chance early in the second round on this. If he really slides, again, you can start to assume the medical is not great, but neither is what's going on from the character, from the mindset standpoint.
Excellent. I did hear there was someone that was kind of like drilling into Caleb Banks. I was watching it on YouTube and was basically breaking him down and showing some clips and all that, but kind of came to the conclusion that it's a hit or miss type pick with him, where you could take him wherever you end up getting him. You could take him. Maybe it's early second round, maybe it's late first, maybe it's later than that. Like you mentioned, injury is going to play a big part. But they're like, or he could be either like a Chris Jones type of D tackle, or he could be a forgotten talent that you took too high and it didn't work out in the end. Do you think that he has the potential to be like a Chris Jones?
Yeah. Oh, he's got every bit the talent. He's got every bit the talent, the traits to be a Chris Jones. Again, to be a disruptive force. Again, Keanu Benton, again, really a developmental player out of Wisconsin that's turned into a really good interior guy. Again, Caleb Banks has better traits, better explosive traits than Keanu Benton does. And again, it may take some time, but again, guys that are big, long offensive tackles, defensive line, when you have traits like this, you're going to get a lot of chances. If he, again, we will say fails, busts out of the league, doesn't make it, again, there's one guy that you really have to point to, and that's going to be Caleb Banks on this one, because again, he's got everything it takes, in his talent to make it.
Yeah, I mean, intriguing prospect. I'm excited to see where he goes, but again, like I love his recklessness in a sense to where he can just kind of blow up and disrupt the play. But the other part of it is like, okay, he did that, but then the second half of it, he just didn't make the tackle and the guy still got positive yards. So we'll see how it plays out, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, man.
Last but not least, I have a guy who I don't know enough of. Pass rusher from Illinois, Gabe Yoccas. I've heard a little bit about him. I've tried to get as much information on him as I possibly could. I like what I see on tape, but why isn't he being talked about more? I feel like he's a prospect that I think deserves more attention.
Yeah, again, good player. Wasn't somebody again prior to us getting this one planned out, and wasn't a guy that I had put film on. And you put the film on, and again, it's like, all right, again starts right off the bat, looks the part. Big, long, again, athletic. Was the way it worked out on the film I watched. He was stand up. He was 2-point for the first, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 snaps. It's like, all right, really, man, I'm really liking this player. Hand went in the ground, and it didn't quite look the same. And again, so right off the bat, so this guy's going to be a true 3-4 outside linebacker. We're going to keep him up. Again, all of a sudden, that's going to lower some teams on him. So
Yeah.
you start talking about, again, this guy really looks like a hand up type of guy, 2-point stance. And again, all right, well, what were the reasons? This guy was a pretty linear guy. Again, this is a bit of a railroad tracks, wants to play down the middle, tries to get off the spot a little bit. And again, when he does, the body control's not quite there. Again, I think this guy's a little bit tight, a little bit stiff. The flexibility's not quite there. Again, for me, that really showed up when he tried to get down in the 3-point on the edge. They go from kind of a more 3-4 look to a true 4-down look, which
Right.
Again, as we know in the NFL, you're going to be down for, nickel defense, 4 guys down. Now, again, plenty of teams will stand those guys up on the edge and just play them that way. It's great, but again, at some point, you're going to have your hand down in the ground as an edge rusher, which is going to limit you with Gabe a little bit. But again, 19 sacks the last 2 years. He is productive. You like that. This is a high effort, high motor guy. Most sacks are coming in the NFL at any level with effort, with motor, with second moves. This guy's going to get after it. If you can kind of, continue to, kind of refine him, work the flexibility a little bit, maybe take a little bit of that straight line, again, want to, and burst out of him, get off the spot, start moving with a little bit more fluidity. This guy could end up being that, again, feel really good, again, borderline kind of 1A, 1B type of rusher. Again, I like Gabe. I think he is right now. I think he's a guy you absolutely love to get in the second round. You feel really good about it because, again, what that upside could be. I think this is a second round type rusher that we'll see him probably middle of the second. Somebody's going to grab him.
Gotcha. And he's going to be a scheme type of dude where you don't see him so much as a guy with his hand in the ground, like you mentioned. The tape isn't good on him, but as maybe a stand-up guy, 3-4, kind of playing that 3-4 linebacker role. That's where you kind of see his fit at the next level.
Yeah, certainly. Again, it's the 2-point stance was better film than the 3-point stance for sure.
Gotcha.
So again, I think that guy just becomes, all right, if we're going to be a base 4 again, the Vikings, they're going to be a 4-down defense all day. They may like him in the third as opposed to the second. They're going to like him. There's still plenty to like there, but again, he's going to fall, which just naturally drops that value just a little bit. So then it becomes, for some of these 3-4 teams that like that stand-up edge rusher, it kind of becomes a game of chicken of, all right, when are you going to take him? When are we going to take him?
Going once, going twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the auction. But so we covered a few guys. We got through. There's another player that I just kind of popped in my head as we're talking about Gabe Yoccas, is a guy who I had no clue about before the combine. I had no idea who this guy was. I believe he's from Central Florida. He's another pass rusher. Malachi Lawrence tested extremely well, like kind of checked all the boxes athletically. Good size, got length, got speed and burst. I mean, he's got bend too, which was really nice to see. So typically guys with this kind of like athletic profile, along with the fact that they can bend and also execute pass rush moves, puts him in a good spot, I believe. Now, this guy, Malachi Lawrence, what do you think of him? Do you think this guy is like one of those ascending type of players that people are going to become real familiar with early in the draft process?
Not early. I think this is certainly a draftable kid. Again, those draft rates, again, kid that tested better than what his film showed athletically. And for me, it
Another
was
one of those guys.
the way he put it together. This was again, you could tell, again, credit to his trainers because he was on point on the way he moved in his training. Anything outside of that matched a little bit more what he did on film, a little bit control, not a real fluid. Again, putting 1-2 moves together wasn't real natural. Again, I think this guy was a better tester than he is a football player right now. Again,
Okay.
certainly you can't discredit the numbers. Had good numbers really across the board. Again, certainly helped him out. Has the length, has the size, has what you want from that standpoint. Do you again? Where does he end up year one, year two? Again, I think he's probably that 3-4 rotational guy that you probably, again, to me, this is maybe middle of day 3 type of draft pick. Again, maybe a team falls in love with him. Character off the charts. Again, maybe, digging into the background, whatever the football background is, maybe there's more there. Maybe it's a limited background. Maybe you like him a little bit early. To me, this guy ends up being one of those guys you think about in that day 3 category where, again, he's a make it guy. Certainly you like this guy on your team. He does a lot of things at a good level, but again, it's just not going to be one of your every down rushers probably for the first couple of years.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's great to hear, you break him down like that, because I'm thinking, like, I'm watching, like, the public view of this guy, and he's like, oh my God, look at how look how he explodes and how fast he moves, and then take a look at the tape that we spliced up to make him look really good.
Everybody looks like a first rounder when he comes up there. That's why you got to go to the film.
Yep, always got to go to the film. But yeah, like, and that's the thing too, is there's do you mind if I ask you about one more prospect? Because it's kind of going, it's kind of, now I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole of edge rushers here, but like, I'm intrigued because some guys have these question marks, and then there's other guys like this who I feel like is not being talked about, at least from a public's eye. Max Llewellyn, from Iowa, edge rusher. He's got the size, he's got the length, but there's something about him, and when I watched him play, there's just something there where I feel like maybe he's not going to be a starter right away for you or anything like that, but I envision him as like this, like, high motor, has pass rush moves. I don't know if he's a better stand-up guy or a guy in the ground, but you see that a lot of Iowa where his hand is on the ground, and he seems to be able to beat tackles pretty consistently. Plays fairly decent against the run. He's not great at it, but he could get better. This is kind of one of those guys to me where I'm just like, man, if a guy maybe this guy's a day 3 pick, and someone could maybe untap some potential with this guy, like, kind of like when you think about Max Crosby and how he got drafted in the 4th round, and maybe this guy could have something here.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure everybody that's listening to this one's heard the moniker. You don't scout this helmet, you scout the player. There are certain schools where, again, kind of what you're going to get from these guys. If you're playing at Iowa, they've rolled through these types of edges, these types of defensive ends. Again, I think Max kind of falls into that. Again, love him. He's a make it type of guy. He's a meat and potatoes, bring your lunchbox to work. Again, they have those guys on the edge consistently that just somehow find a way to make NFL rosters. Again, you're talking under 33-inch arms, you're 32 and a quarter. Again, that's certainly going to be something that's talked about, certainly going to limit you a little bit in terms of what he does. Again, to me, this guy looks like he plays a little bit bigger than 260, and I almost wonder how much bigger he can get. Is this still a guy that could put on another 15, 20, 25 pounds, kind of be more of a 2-down, 3-4 old school edge that plays some 3-tech, that kind of plays all over, could be a versatile guy from that standpoint. I think there's still a little bit more there. Again, sufficient to good traits. Again, nothing really blew me away. Again, you're going to get guys that are really smart, that are sound with their technique, sound with their assignments at Iowa. That is, if you want to play at Iowa, those are prerequisites for you. So again, you've got to expect that out of those guys. He's a make it guy. He's a day 3 guy. He's a guy that, again, I'm sure somebody's going to like. Iowa has good football players certainly come through there, but again, you're going to love him in a rotation. Let's just not see too much of him.
Gotcha. Rodrik, I don't know if I asked you this before, but like, do you play fantasy football, or do you follow it or anything like that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't play fantasy football. Again, the humble. The last year I played fantasy football, I won both my leagues, and I've hung it up. at that time, again, that was, part of it was because I got into scouting. I see everything through a scouting lens. My brother-in-law asked me about fantasy stuff. I'm like, yeah, he's not really good. He's really, again, he's going to be really productive. Yeah, he's just got sufficient level of trade. Again, production is different than scouting, different than fantasy. Don't do it. If you need advice on it, you probably are better seeking somebody else out than me.
I was just curious because I was going to bring up you got these wide receivers now coming out, and everyone's kind of debating on who's the best one. Maybe it's not so much who's the best one. Maybe there's just three really good receivers: Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate. So guys like that. And I was just going to kind of give you a funny question about like, oh, well, if you had to pick one for your draft, who would you take?
Well, fantasy draft or NFL draft? Carnell Tate's the best player to me. Now, again, it always goes back to, all right, what does the rest of your wide receiver room look like? Because, again, you got to have different flavors here, certainly, in what these players are. I think Tate's the best overall wide receiver.
I agree.
Tyson certainly gives you some fun elements. Again, Mekhi Lemon gives you some really interesting stuff in terms of the way he catches and runs and does everything. Again, J. Michael Sturdivant out of Florida is a guy that I like down the board a little bit. He would have been one of my sleepers that we talked about a little bit earlier. He's, again, a guy out of UCLA, super productive, went to Florida and basically had no quarterback for 2 years. Obviously, that offense really struggled. He had solid production. Again, he's a guy that ends up being a 3-2 type wide receiver for an NFL team. Again, J. Michael Sturdivant named for everybody to keep an eye on at wide receiver as well.
Yeah, I mean, so we've gone through a few prospects for you guys out there. Thanks for joining us. If you guys want to hear more from Rodrik, let us know. He's a great dude. He knows his stuff. That's why I'm asking him questions, because some of the things that I'm really kind of questioning myself, I'm not really sure what the answer is. So we have Rodrik on the show for all that kind of stuff. Rodrik, really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. Can't wait to have you back on the show again. The draft is right around the corner. I know some people are like, oh, it's about a month away. I'll tell you right now, it's going to fly right by before you know it. But there's definitely teams out there. They're doing their homework. They're starting to maybe, have those conversations behind closed doors about who they like, why they like them, how they're going to maybe start to set their boards up. Is this the time of year, Rodrik, where that happens now? Where now they're starting to fine tune all that?
Really, next week is really the week. Again, the draft basically follows about a week early this year with the way the month of April is set. Again, I think it's the 23rd. Usually it's like you're talking 27th, 28th, round one. Next week, again, teams are finishing pro days. Top 30 visits are happening right now, local days. Really, next week, teams are going to be in the building, really getting the top of the board set. Again, anything that's kind of any question marks that you were waiting on at pro days, waiting on medical rechecks, waiting on the final answers to come through. And then next week is really the week that starts. Teams and scouting departments will be together hammering out that board, and you'll get a really good feel.
Excellent. Rodrik, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you again for joining me once again. Maybe we'll have Jimmy on next time when we have you, so we can get more.
Always enjoy being on.
Appreciate it. One more time for the audience. Let us know what you have. You got the Scouting the League podcast. I encourage everybody out there, if you've lasted this long, you love football, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like as well. Don't forget to comment. They do respond to comments. I know, because I do it often, and they respond right back to me. But Rodrik, tell them a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, go follow me at RightStepADV. Again, on Twitter, I will hit you back with whatever you have thoughts, comments. Again, the Scouting the League podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on YouTube, getting some video portions in there, talking about some of these prospects. So make sure you follow that one. Again, rsafootball.com is my website. Again, links for everything there as well. So check it out wherever you want to.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks a lot, man. Hope to get you on here sooner than later, but we'll see how that goes. We know that you're real busy too. You got a lot of stuff going on as well, but we'll try to make it work. All right, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be back.
All right, man. Have a good one, okay? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate everybody that did join us. Listen, drop in the comments down below. Let us know if you have any questions about the upcoming draft, certain prospects. Maybe it's a couple of the guys that we talked about, and you might have something different that you want to know, but we'll have Rodrik on the show again. He's a great dude, knows his stuff. So definitely going to have him on. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want more great content like this. We love to do a lot of football content for you guys out there. Let us know what you want to see more of. And if you have any questions, like I said before, drop in the comment section below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great evening and an even better week. We'll see you guys later on. Have a good one. Bye now.
Hey everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these two boxes for more of our work.